person. Because normally we're doing everything virtually for this pandemic,
Yes.
So it was good. Good to see him.
I just went to Facebook Live and I'm going to check up. Yep, we're live on Facebook and I tagged you. So all of Rich Reda's.
I'm going to share it right now.
You don't need to. It's already tagged and on your page.
Oh, look at that. See that?
But feel free to share it again. It's an extra share.
Awesome.
Hey, everybody on Rich Reda's page. Is that the right way to pronounce your last name?
Yeah, it's funny. 4 letters, right? 4 letters my entire life. Either if you spell it, they say it wrong. And if you say it, they spell it wrong. But it's Reda.
Oh, good. I got it right.
Yep,
awesome.
You did.
Rich Reda is here, you guys. If you're from his page, welcome. If you're on my page seeing this, welcome. This young man from Long Island.
I wish.
He's been doing comedy a little over 2 years, hosting a podcast. He does comedy at the Governor's. I mean, this is a big deal to be him and Jeff Bosy do a podcast together called No Rhyme, No Reason. And they are the funniest people. I saw him in a contest at Governor's. He's funny. He's a hard worker. He works really hard at his craft. And I think you're going to love him. So let's go to him. Welcome to the stage here, Rich Reda.
Hey,
hi.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited. I get to see you do all these interviews. So it's good to be part of it, especially since you had my buddy Jeff on recently too. So.
Oh my gosh, you got me. I have never laughed so hard. What are you guys doing with the water up in Long Island? All these comics.
And he had his clothes on. You should imagine what it would have been like if he would have been naked to get
it. Oh, there's something about his eyes and the way he says choppy little phrases that got me so laughing.
Yeah, he's a funny man.
He is. So talk to me about your life growing up, finding out you're funny at some point. Where did you come from? Because 2 years, you're already this funny. Oh my God.
Yeah, finding out you're funny. I don't know. Well, when you're younger, you don't really find out you're funny. You find out that you have a conduct problem in school, I guess, when you never get straight A's because you got a D in conduct or something like that. That was my MO back in the day. So,
me too.
But I grew up on Long Island. 3 sisters. I'm a twin.
I am too.
Yeah. Oh, who's older?
I am by 30 minutes.
I'm younger by 2.5 hours.
Wow. Yeah. Holy Toledo.
Yeah, crazy.
The girl.
Yep. Girl. I have 3 sisters. One's my twin. Well, one passed away, but I had 3 sisters. So.
Wow. Sorry about that. I don't know when that happened.
So, but we grew up on the island and, little humble beginnings, little, middle of the middle class, maybe even the lower middle class, but great bunch of people, a lot of good friends. Grew up on the South Shore of Long Island, things were different back then. It's not, everybody wasn't so sensitive like they are now, so you could joke around and people's head didn't explode so much. And now it's everybody's so worried. And let me ask you something, because you've been doing this a while. Like, don't you find it's tougher if you're like, we're older, to have that snowflake filter thing? Because if you're new to this and you're younger, you're coming into it during this. But when you grew up a wise ass, it's very hard to just flip the switch off.
Oh, it's so hard. Yeah. You mean to be politically correct for the young people?
Yeah, what an overrated term that is, right?
I don't have a filter. Plus, I have a little brain injury, and so I'm just.
That's a good excuse, though. You get to play that card a little bit. That's not so bad, I think.
No, I do play it. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I've only been doing comedy 5 years. I thought I'd been doing comedy 6 years. Turns out, nah.
Well, listen. Well, I'm doing it 2 years this week. Actually, this is my anniversary week.
Congratulations.
Yeah, but talk about a bust, right? The last 4 months have been, Zoom. Zoom.
Oh my goodness! Tell me what's on the wall behind you. It looks like a certificate.
Oh, that's so by day, in order to keep this little light on here, I've been doing insurance and financial services since 1992. So that's from the American College where you get designations and stuff, and that was one I had gotten, back in the day to prove that I was actually in the industry. So,
Nice.
but this is but because of the pandemic and New York City getting, my office that I was just recently working at is over Madison Square Garden, right in Penn Plaza. So that was ground zero. So my office now is my home office. So now I'm all set up here, and I love it.
Wow. I bet you have stories you could tell about selling things to people. You're in the sales end of things?
Yeah, I'm in the. I manage a team of advisors, and now I pretty much just do my own clientele and my own. Yeah, it's I love it. But I'll tell you a great story. When I first got into comedy, like it's so long ago. When I started a couple of years ago, a gentleman that I know who's been in the business for a long time, who actually teaches comedy. We were talking one day, and he said, "So what do you do? What's your day job?" And I go, "Well, I do life insurance, whatever." He goes, "There's nothing funny about that." he goes, "Normally you can work off of your job or whatever." He goes, "Let's just move that out of the way and never talk of it again." So that was that. I lost a whole segment of material right there. But yeah, whatever. You got to move on to other things. But so I've been doing that a while though.
I was a banker for 24 years, and I've yet to come up with anything that's
That's
stellar.
the longest game of Monopoly I've ever heard of in my life. 24 years. That's crazy.
So you grew up and somebody thought you were funny, or you got people to laugh?
I hung out. I was lucky enough that, like, even my best friend, I've been best friends with him since junior high. The group of people that I was hung out with, I always took pride in the fact that I hung out with people. I didn't like to hang around with jerks, and so my friends predominantly were all. It was a fun group of people, good fun group of people. I got into this because a couple of years ago, I realized I'm like, I'm always working. My mom's in a nursing home, and I was always running back and forth there. You were either doing something for, the kids and this and that. And I was like, I want to do something for myself. So I decided I was going to take one of these classes. And so I did. I enrolled in a class in Manhattan, and I met a couple of really great guys that I'm still friendly with who were in the business. They had more of a background than I did. They had who did theater, who did some acting, who did some writing. And then I thought it was a beginner class. And then they asked who's got experience in theater, acting, music, this, and like 23 of 24 hands go up. And I'm sitting there like, what the hell did I get into?
Hate that.
But it was great. And, they taught you the basics, like, hey, how to write a joke or try to. And then we got to do a graduation show at Gotham Comedy, which is Gotham Comedy Club in the city in Manhattan.
I saw you on that stage. Isn't there a video?
Love that room. Beautiful place. So that was my first time. And funniest part of the whole thing was we took the class in a classroom with a semicircle of chairs. We were not on a stage. I've never done any theater. So when we went to do our graduation show, the first time I got on the stage, they never told us, oh, by the way, when they put these stage lights on, you're going to be blind. and I had no idea. So the lights went on. I'm like, I can't even see anybody. I have no idea what's going on right now. I had no experience. It was torture.
Yes.
So, a lot of fun though.
Gotham is such a great venue. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
How did it go when you were in that graduation show? How was your set?
So you probably been there, right? When you first start, I was like, okay, I wrote my stuff. I'm feeling good. We had I don't know how many people, half the class was doing the show that I was in. So there was a good dozen people, and then they had a professional MC and a professional headliner. And right up until I'm up next, and I'm like, I got this. And then the young lady in my class that went up before me was on stage, and she went on stage, and all of a sudden I'm standing there and I'm like, I don't remember one thing in my act. I like literally nothing. And so fortunately she came off, and I was like, oh my God. And I went up there, and it just kind of, it kind of happened, it rolled. And, but it was good. I had a good support. I had 42 people come to my first show. So it was great.
Whoa. I bet they loved you there.
Yeah, they did. And then the next month I went back and did my second show ever there, and I had about another 40 something people. And then I started the Long Island because I'm a Long Island guy. So I started doing a lot of stuff at Governor's, which is, I love it. That's my hometown place. So
Yeah, that's such a great venue. I love all the comics that come out of Long Island. That I'm always listening to their radio show and
yep,
watching what they post. And I don't
so much
live in
good,
Long Island, but I feel like I know them all.
so much talent. It makes you realize like, there's and only doing this 2 years, but what I realized was there's a lot of funny people.
Yeah.
But being funny on purpose is much more difficult than just hanging out with your friends and you're laughing and laughing and laughing and you're having a great time. When you have to go up and there's 150 people with their arms crossed going, all right, funny guy, let's hear it, and you're like, wow, this is worse than I imagined.
Yes.
So it is the toughest thing I've ever done, I have to say.
That's cool. Well, when I saw you in the governor's radio contest, when you were paired up against my longtime friend, Helene Witt,
I love her. She's great.
she is, and she's got so much time in the business and everything. It came across to me how professional you take your scenario. You came prepared, you
It
had
was fear.
your stuff was so well thought out.
It was fearful. I said, oh, great. They paired me up against somebody who's been doing this for 25 years. And I got like 12 minutes of experience. I'm like, thanks, guys. But yeah, it was a lot of fun that night. We had a good time.
Yeah, you won the round fair and
Yeah,
square.
And I was so successful that I won, and then they shut the entire place down basically for 3 months. So now to be continued.
I knew it was your fault. I just knew
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
That was fun to watch you because I hadn't met you, but I got to watch you in action. And it almost makes, when you watch somebody for a period of time doing something different than on stage, or
Right.
like you get to feel like you know the person because you're a voyeur. You're actually watching them and observing their mannerisms and stuff. So that I liked watching that.
I think that show is one of the best ideas of all the shows that they have. And Don and Benny are great, and they do such a good job. And but it's such a simple but really well thought out concept. And and they usually have an extra judge that's a pro.
Yeah.
And where'd you go?
I'm really good with my little tiny brain injury of knocking things over.
Oh,
And
nice.
so I knocked the plug out. So I had
Oh,
the
there you
plug.
go. There you go.
Yeah.
So it's a great show, and they do a really good job on it. And every week that show was spot on. There's always something really funny on there.
Yeah. You had
They
a
work
guest.
hard.
Who was your guest judge for that contest? There was a
Neil
lady.
Rubenstein
Oh,
and
okay.
and Sarah Martin.
Okay.
Yeah, they were. Neil's a pretty solidly established comedian now, and Sarah does acting and she does her own movies and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was a great opportunity to be seen and prove yourself.
Yeah, well, I wish that's the one thing I always said. I wish, everyone's always like, "Oh, how come you got into it so late?" I'm like, I wish I did it when I was younger, but when I was younger, I wasn't smart enough to think about doing it. So,
Yeah.
whatever, you do what you got to do, I guess. But I'm enjoying it. It's I met a lot of. That's the best thing in the last 2 years, though. You meet so many really, really good people.
You do. I feel like I know people from all over the country, and it feels like I'm in a really good episode of Welcome Back, Kotter.
Yeah, nice. I love that show.
Me too. Yeah. So you're co-hosting a podcast, No Rhyme or No Reason, with
Right.
Jeff Bosy, and it's filmed, and you do it out of Governor's.
Well, we would be doing it from so Governor's has their own little radio studio in the back, which is really cool. It's actually I think they're actually renovating it now, and it's probably going to be being renovated through September, October. So we'll be doing it like we've been doing it, kind of like this. Jeff has been doing it from one place, and I'm doing it from my home office. And eventually we might be able to do it from the same room, but we will wind up in the studio unless we take it a week at a time. Like as long as they'll have us back, we'll keep doing it. So
Right now, we all look like Jimmy Fallon.
yeah, without the paycheck.
Yeah. and all the sponsors.
Yep, exactly.
So, what do you have planned for the rest of your comedy life? What are your goals?
Um, well, so this is how my luck works. Last year, doing this 2 years, I ran into comics and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm doing eight, 6, 8 shows a month," and I had been in it a year and a half, and I had done about 11 shows total, maybe 10. And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going to do more shows. Like, I'm definitely going to do more shows." So, but here's my problem. Um, I never. My goal was like the part that I like the best is actually the writing to prepare for the show.
I could
So
feel
my
that when that contest, I knew that you're a strong writer.
so
It just,
I don't do a show with the same material,
yeah.
but except for like my closing bit on my hometown or something like that. But I will usually at least 50, 75% of what I'm doing is newly written for the show. So I can't do a show a week. You can't write that fast. I can't write that fast.
Yeah.
And you don't want to just wing it because it'll be atrocious. So I try to pace myself. And but this year I said, you know what? I'm gonna have a solid 8 to 10 minute set, and I'm gonna do a lot more shows. And hello, coronavirus. There we go. So we're doing nothing right now. So
Yeah, they put me up on a midnight show at the LA Comedy Club here in Vegas at the Strat. And
wow.
the dude that promoted the show and was the host of it, Jimmy Earl, he said that I killed, right? I would never ever say that about myself, but he said it. And then the city shut down. I was like, dang, I caused the virus, and I knew it was me all along.
We have one of the gentleman that runs the Gov's Radio, one of the Tony Walker, who actually
Yes.
did the show with me today, Quarantine Life. We did a French fry eating competition from my house today. He had 10 different French fries, and we had a whole big thing. Long story short, uh, he decided to take a comedy class, and he runs a murder mystery, knock 'em dead comedy thing. So he's very good on stage already, and he's a funny guy. But he took a class. So his graduation show, we said we're all going to go, and we went. It was a Sunday night show, and I think it was Sunday night. I think it was, and we were going to go to the show, and the joke was we were all going to heckle him and whatever. And Tony has a prosthetic leg, one leg prosthetic leg, and he literally takes his leg off took his leg off during the show. It was pretty funny, but he performed. He was the last guy that night, and then the comedy clubs all closed down. So we told him that he ruined comedy in New York because
Oh,
he was the last guy to perform before everything
oh
shut
my
down.
gosh.
Yeah, a lot of pressure.
A lot of pressure. So, what have you learned that you think is really important for people to know about a newer comic? So, in just 2 years, not to make light of it, because I know that I mean, I had heard from other people in Long Island, on Long Island, that you never go up and say the same material twice. And that
I try not
really,
to.
it really makes me respect you so much, because that's not easy. That's not taking the easy road for a 2-year comic.
Well, don't confuse new material with funny material. That's totally a different thing. I just use new stuff. It doesn't mean it gets laughs or anything. But
Well,
well, I would tell you this: the thing that I learned, and I know that most people coming in are younger. I mean, like I'm 56, so a lot of people coming in are 23, 24. But I would say the most important thing, and you might, when you're young, a lot of young people now want instant gratification. Like I have no false, pretenses of where I'm not doing this to be, oh my gosh, I want to be famous. I'm doing it because I like doing it. It's my entire life I grew up, I played softball, I bowl, I golf, I do all that. I'm 56. I'm getting beat up now. Like softball's a rough go every year. I like doing this. This is a hobby where I like it, and you meet great people. I think the key is you can watch all these comedians and you can enjoy all these comedians and stuff, but you can't write jokes as another comedian. You have to be yourself. There already is that comedian. Like I need to write jokes that Rich Reda could go out and be Rich Reda. You know, when you do your jokes, you know, like you could go do, I'm just picking a random, you could go up and do a, you know, a Stephen Wright joke, and it's going to hit like a lead brick because you're not Stephen Wright. You know, but your stuff, you're going to deliver in a good way because you wrote it. And I think that I think that people try to, uh, they'll teach, you know, you teach comedy and you've taken comedy. You know, when they teach you like, you know, bum, 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 bum. That's great. You can start to write that way, but you can't become a robotic comedian like that. You have to be yourself. And I think if you're going to do it, um, the other thing is there's a lot of, and I don't mean this in any disrespect to the comedy world, but there's a lot of unhappy people in the comedy community. Like, you know, what's the running joke? Are you funny or did you have a good childhood? You know, so I think that the people who, you know, there's a lot of have fun doing it. If you're miserable doing comedy, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's one of the you should be having as much fun as the people that you're doing it for, or else something's not right. You know, and I think that we get a great opportunity. You get to go up and if you can get a room going, what's better than that? You know,
Nothing.
that's as good as it gets. So, but writing is key. I think that writing is key. And the one thing I did learn from a good friend of mine who teaches and has been doing it a very, very long time is it's so much tougher to write clean jokes than dirty jokes. And if you can get people to laugh on a clean thing, you know, then you're going to be way ahead of the game because, you know, sometimes you'll get people and they lose the joke in 10 profanities and it's not really funny. And, you know, they just try to get a rise out of people. That's not writing.
No.
You know, not, I don't think so anyway.
I don't either. I think if you take out all of the shock value and it does it stand alone on the funny writing,
Right.
then
Right.
that's the litmus test.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's hard. You know, it makes you, you probably have done, I do this a million times. I'm big with index cards, right? Like my goal is that, I try to, if I'm doing a whatever, 8 minutes or, you know, 7 minutes, or I think the most I've done is 10 minutes, let's say, whatever. But if I'm doing that set, I want to know that on every index card, I'm hitting a joke, right? There's no long-winded, you know, you know, you're not giving the Gettysburg Address and then trying to get the big finish, you know. And I rip up more index cards. Like I go, this is great. It's perfect the way it is. Oh, whoosh, you throw it out, you do it again. I go through hundreds and hundreds of index cards to write an 8-minute set.
I believe it.
And but that's the best part. Like once you have it, you're like, oh, this is, you know, this is good. I like it. You know, and it's tough, but it's fun. It's rewarding.
I threw out 43 pounds of jokes. Because when I went back and looked at them all, you know, you get smarter and you look back and they make you nauseous just to read them. What was I thinking?
You had Bosy on the show a week ago. You could have sold him 8 pounds of that. He would have taken it. I'm telling you.
None of it was salvageable. You think it's so brilliant. You look back.
Well, but they tell you not to throw stuff out, right? Like you're supposed to, you know, keep it and you know, and go. I look at the first set I ever did from 2 years ago, and I go, I can't believe they didn't have torches and pitchforks and to, like, you know, just like get off the stage. But I thought it was the greatest, you know, like Shakespearean thing ever. And, you know, what a disaster it was.
Oh my gosh.
I did something on WebMD and stuff like that. Oh, the best. My girlfriend, her family's there, right? Her parents, and they're in their 80s and they're there. Her daughter is there. And like, I'm doing a joke about WebMD about like masturbation. Like, there's no recovering from that. You're not coming back from there.
I remember telling my first set, I remember telling a joke. And I heard two comics in the front row say, I've heard that before. That is so hack. How do you go on with your set? And I thought I created it, and nobody else in the world thought of it before me.
Right.
I didn't know you should look this stuff up.
Well, you know the good comic excuse, but you get these experienced comics when they basically take someone else's joke, they call it parallel thought. You know,
Yes.
it's like
Yes.
it's the out for joke thievery, if you will. But
Yes.
I was in a contest last year,
Mhm.
and this is how such low goals you have. Like I got in this, you want to be in this contest, and all I said was, oh, I just want to make it through like the first. I don't want to get eliminated on the first day. I was like, that's all I wanted, right? There was like 40 people in it or something like that over a couple of weeks, and I'm like, as long as I don't, I'm like, you don't want to be the first guy whose torch gets extinguished, you know? So I'm like, just let me make it. So, but one of the guys in the contest, in the middle of his set, one of the judges who I knew came up to me with his cell phone and is showing me on Google the joke that the guy is telling.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh
I was
Lordy.
like, wow. So, I mean, if you're going to take something from somebody, at least don't make it well known.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So being on stage for a couple of years, you've got to have seen really funny situations in comedy clubs. Tell me something that you'll never forget. It's so
Well,
memorable.
I'll tell you two things. One was not on stage, but this was an interesting because this was when I realized I'm like, wow, you can meet a lot of really cool people. So two good ones. One is my friend Mary Capone, who I love her. She's I don't know if you've had the privilege of interviewing Mary, but Mary is
No, I'd
Long,
love to.
Long Island. Her son and my son's a couple of years older than her son, but went to the same high school and stuff. So I knew her from the town a little bit. And but me and her would do we would produce shows every maybe 3 or 4 months and the little room at Governor's. And one night we're doing a show there. And what's cool about when you do a show in the little room on the weekend, the headliners from the big room sometimes they will bring them around and they'll bring them in for a couple of minutes or they'll bring somebody in. Well, there's our show. We have two shows. We're doing back-to-back shows that night. We sold out both shows, which is not, it's not like the Garden. It's 55 tickets a show, whatever. But there we are. And who do they bring in but Kevin James?
Aw.
Because he's working on brand new material and he's going to be going on tour. So my ex is in the crowd even, and she comes to the second show, and they heard that Kevin James was at the first show. So she said to me, "Is he in the second?" And I said, "No idea. They don't tell us. They just bring him in." Sure enough, they were bringing him in, and they people were going crazy. He comes walking in, baseball cap, sweatpants, carrying an iPad, goes up on stage, and like the most unbelievable, just natural, unbelievably funny delivery. And I was like, this is so cool. I'm barely doing this like a year at the time, a little over a year. And I'm like, I'm in a show with Kevin James. But
Wow.
the best part of the whole thing was I went on before him, before they brought him in. Because when I produce a show, I actually like to go first, and people tell me I'm crazy, but I like to go up first. And good thing I did, because I did a little bit on Skechers sneakers.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Kevin James had something on something like that. So somebody comes up to me after the show and goes, "He took your topic." I go, "Yeah, he does that a lot. He steals my stuff. It's really embarrassing." His was a lot funnier than mine, but at least I had the same topic as him. And the other
Wow.
night that was the best was I got to the comedy club early and I heard a pound at the back door. And I opened the back door and Dice Clay is walking in with his helper there. And I'm like, "Hey, Dice, shake, hey, how you doing?" He walks past me, goes in the green room, and I'm like, I can't believe I just walked into Andrew Dice Clay. This is great. I'm walking back up the hallway, and I'm about to text my friend and go, "You're not going to believe this." And I almost walk into somebody, and I look up, and it's Chaz Palminteri, who's
Oh
coming to
my.
hang out with Dice Clay. And I'm like,
Wow.
"Hi, Chaz." And I was just like beside myself, like,
Oh,
what am I doing in the hallway with these two guys?
oh, that's so cool.
Yeah,
I
that's the
hear
best part of it.
I hear that Andrew Dice Clay is really a nice guy.
Other than opening the door for him, I'd have to take someone's word for it because I honestly, that was about it. Hey, how are you? But he was
Yeah.
nice to me. I mean, he shook my hand, said hello, and that was that.
Well, that's
So,
nice.
yeah,
That's
no, but you grow up and you're like, oh my God, he's famous.
yeah, he is. He is indeed. So, where can I help you to get more traffic?
Oh,
You
well,
want people to go to your podcast.
we every Tuesday on at 6:30 we do our podcast No Rhyme No Reason, Jeff Bosy and I, and we're trying to, I'm not saying we're different, but we're it literally is what the title is. Like we kind of just, let's have a discussion. We naturally are picking on each other most of the time when we see each other in person. So we're doing that on the show. Pretty much every maybe third week we have like we'll have a guest and have somebody we'll bring on for some reason. We had guys who teach comedy and that are Long Island legend comics, Peter Bales and Rich Walker were on with us, and they're the instructors at Stand Up University. So we had them on, and we had Les Deegan, who might be the nicest guy in the history of comedy. He was on with us.
He came to Manhattan and did comedy for my veteran show I did at the VA hospital.
Yeah, he is. They don't make many guys like him. He's as nice as they come. Really,
he
really
got
good
grown
guy.
men crying.
Yeah. So, we're on. So every Tuesday, 6:30, Jeff and I are on govsradio.com and Facebook Live. And other than that, we're doing, hopefully shows will start opening up a little bit. And, it's going to be weird because as a newer comic, you do I get the smaller venues, if you will, and they're not really going to be open because you can't do half capacity at an already small venue. There's no profit margin in it for anybody. So, but the good thing about why I love comedy is because I've been going to see comedy shows my whole life. Like I enjoy going to see comedy. So
who were some of your favorite growing up?
Well, my favorite of all time is David Tell. I could watch David Attell all day, every day. Another guy I loved who passed away was Richard Jenny, who I absolutely thought was brilliant. Brian Regan, unbelievably funny. Jim Gaffigan, oh my gosh, I mean, just lights out funny. And I like guys on the other side a little bit too, like Jeselnik his writing is as unbelievable as anybody's. I mean, it's like, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe he said that. And then he takes it to that next level and you're like, oh, that's writing, that's as good as it gets. Those are, but I'm, I just like going to see a good comedy show. I'll go see anybody. I'm one of the guys when we put a show together, I sit in the back of the crowd and watch everybody. I don't go in the back because I want to see everybody. I like to see what people are doing and what they're talking about. And I like to learn a little bit about delivery and stuff,
I will watch every show all weekend long at a club from the back of the room where you can see. It's 10 times funnier when you see all the people interact, laughing, and what makes this group of people laugh that doesn't make that group. You learn so much in the back of the room.
Let me ask you a question. What do you get more? Because I find this to be kind of funny. What do you like better, when you see a comic and you go, wow, they're really good, I got a lot out of that? Or sometimes you see somebody and you go, they weren't that funny, so I don't feel so bad about myself now. Because a lot of times I was like, okay, I'm not the worst comic in this zip code. This guy's terrible.
What I like the most about watching comics is because like at Harvey's in Portland, I had the flyer up, but it fell down today. I would watch 7 shows a weekend, and some people you could figure out you could break down what they're doing, and they would do the same thing every time. And that doesn't keep me interested. I want to look at them and have it be mystical and not know what the hell, how did they get the room to fall apart like that? And I have to go back and watch it and watch it and watch it. And like people like Jimmy Schubert, Andrew Dice Clay, John Caponera, people that do something on stage and I can't figure out what they're doing. I don't know what that is. And that's who mystifies me, is people. It doesn't matter what their topic is, but if I cannot figure out what they're doing, if I'm watching it 7 times, I'm a fan.
Yeah. I mean, like I tell people, they ask me all the time, they're like, oh, how do you like it? I go, I won't do anything unless I like it. Like I believe at this point in my life, I got a grown son. My girlfriend's got 3 grown children. I have a dog I like, I have family. I have a job that keeps me busy, but I love this. So I would keep, and I have met some of, not only some of the funniest and nicest people, but I got to tell you, some of the smartest too.
It
One
takes
thing
a
I
lot
learned
of
there,
smarts.
there are, like, we were joking about it today on the show. There's a couple of comics that we always banter back and forth with. And I told Tony Walker today, I'm like, I won't even mess with these three guys. Like, they throw stuff out. And it's like, I'm playing, checkers, and they're playing chess up here. And I'm like, no way, I'm done. They got too much on the ball, So, but there's a lot of really, really smart people.
There
And it's
are.
great because they make it, if you can make really smart funny, that's pretty impressive,
It is. I just
but
interviewed a gal named Jolie RX. Never knew her from Adam. She wanted to be on. I was, send me your information and you're on. Like, I'm not turning anybody away. And she got on there and blew my mind how smart she is. I'm like, slow down. You're talking to a geriatric.
well, fortunately, you can wrap up the night with a guy like me, and we'll just take it down nice and easy for you. So, have you ever? Now I know you. Like I see you all the time on. And this is what I love about you. You try a lot of your jokes out on social media. Just and I also appreciate the fact that you do them, and you'll post like successive versions of the same joke just until, like, it's kind of like almost like wordplay until you're getting it the right way, right? And
Exactly.
have you ever, I'm sure you've done this, I've done this, and it's kind of funny, but you ever write a joke and you're like, oh, this thing is unbelievable, and it sucks, and you
No.
think it's a great joke,
I
and
thought it
it
was so
takes you,
funny that I said, "Has anybody seen Chelsea lately?" And nobody clicked like. Like, this is stellar.
yeah, right. It's like, what's going on? Is everyone missing this? It's too intelligent for them. Yeah, and then you'll post something like the cheesiest thing in the world, and everyone's like, love, 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 laugh, 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 laugh. So you got
It's
to know your
hilarious.
audience, I guess. It's it is funny though. That's the best part. Like you said, you go out and every crowd's different, and you gotta just get out there. And that's the other thing I do like about not having the same material all the time, because one show I did do when I went out and I realized, okay, I got to switch it up, because the demographic from the early show to the late show was like a 35-year difference in average age. And I was
Wow.
like, I can't use the same stuff. So, and when you you don't carry around 3 sets of, material. So,
You know what's fun to do is to do a joke and then it gets likes or you get laughs on stage and then go back and do the same exact joke but with a different punchline. So they tune out and then they go, "Wait a minute, what?"
yeah, yeah, right,
It's
exactly.
like got its own built-in twist.
Right.
What?
My my buddy that I did, he did a little coaching. He coached me a little bit. I would take some lessons from him, if you will.
Mhm.
And I wrote a joke, and I said to him, I really like it this way. And he goes, well, you could also try it this way. And then he goes, I kind of think this way's better. And I said, well, I like this way. So I did back-to-back shows, and I said, let me try it both ways and see what happens. Um, Turned out both of them were not great, but one of them was a little better than the other one. But the next week he goes, which one worked better? And I'm like, well, this one, but not by a lot. So it depends. You never know what the crowd's going to do.
Yeah, I went and do you know Gladys Simon in Manhattan at Comic
Sure.
Strip?
Yep.
So I was on her show last night and I heard laughter through the whole set. Because, like, I'm telling you, for 4.5 of these 5 years with my brain injury, I couldn't remember my material. I had to take up notes. It was a mess, right?
Uh,
Just, it was a mess. And in the last 6 months, I can actually do a set without notes. And so I got laughter through the whole thing. And, I'm in shock. And so then I'm going to be on again in 2 weeks. And I want to do the same set, but I want to bring it up a level or two, tighten it, make the punchlines funnier
right.
or, somehow, I'm like you. I don't want to just do this. I can't stand doing the same set twice. Sometimes you have to, and I've got sets I've done over and over, but it drives me nuts. And I feel like I'm not working hard enough when I do that. It's the easy
Right.
road.
But then, there's those times, like my next show that I know that I'm doing is an outdoor show in August, middle of August. So now I'm sitting here going, okay, I have, 6 weeks. I got to write a whole set. and I have to start it. It'd be a good time to start. Like I should be starting it. And everyone's gonna like. I don't want to go to a show and there's gonna be 7 comics and 6 of them are doing, quarantine, toilet paper, bad hair jokes. It's like, enough already. We get it.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be interesting to try and that's what I try to do. I try to come up with like 5 topics. That's the first thing. Come up with the 5 topics and then try to back myself into, maybe 3 jokes in each one um, and it's not easy all the time. You start running out of things
So when you
that,
do 5 topics, is that a 10-minute set or a 5-minute set?
if I do 5 topics, so 4 or 5 topics, and I do 3, it's probably like, I try to do, well, me and Jeff Bosy, this is funny. Me and Jeff, I was picking on the other day. I said, Jeff, how many minutes you doing on your next show? And he's like, 8 minutes. And I said, wow, it's got to be tough for you. He goes, why? I go, well, you have to write 7 minutes and 50 seconds of material because there's no laugh breaks. And then other times, if you write material and you go, I got, 7 minutes and I think this is really good. And the worst thing in the world happens, the crowd is laughing. And you're not going to step on them laughing because that's what the hell you're up there for, right? So now you're like, I'm going to not get my good joke in because I'm going to get lighted. I'm not going to. So, and when you're new, it's very hard to move your set around, like, on the fly.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's the tricky part. So I guess the lesson to be learned is if you're going to write material, make it funny so you can time it out good.
Yes.
Because otherwise you get stiff.
Do you time every single joke so that you know about how long this would take and
Yeah, I figure now, like I use the 80% rule, I guess, so if I'm going to do 8 minutes, I'm going to do 6.5 minutes of good stuff. And then if I, God willing, I get some laughter in there. And also if I have to develop a stutter or a stammer in the middle, just to, kind of, do something or, pull a fire alarm or whatever, create a diversion to get to that 8 minutes, I'll do it. But yeah, that's, because if you write 8 minutes, you're not getting it in there. If it's fun, if anything's funny, you're not getting 8 minutes in.
yeah.
So,
Oh my gosh.
yeah,
I was so proud of myself last night for getting laughs from Gladys Simon's room of people, because that's like I've gotten laughs, but not sustained it through the whole thing. And I was like,
that's a great room though. That place is that's like old school comedy when you go there. Like my friends do shows there, and I'll go in and watch them there, and that's it's exactly what you think a Manhattan comedy club is going to look like.
Yeah, I had so much
and
fun.
she's been, how long has that show been going on Wednesdays? I mean, forever, right?
Forever. And well, Gladys has been going on forever. Started at, at so many clubs way back,
Right.
So this is her most recent club, but she's been all over the place at different clubs.
Well, that's her room now, right? I mean, it's named after her, right? So
yeah. And Jerry Seinfeld put $1 million into redoing that room.
oh, is that the recent or yeah, because I know that it was up for, yeah. I mean, they should. I mean, it's a great location and it's such a historical comedy club. It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of which, the pandemic, I had tickets to see Jerry at the Beacon, and we had tickets to see Gaffigan also, and both got rescheduled and canceled. So,
well, that's something to look forward to, right? They're going to honor the tickets.
I'm assuming who knows when things, right now I'm just, I'm whatever they say when things open up. You know what? My thing right now through this whole thing is as long as everybody's healthy. My mom's in a nursing home. We haven't seen her in 3.5 months because you can't go near the place because it's on lockdown. So whatever, as long as it takes. Really, I love going to comedy shows, but it's not high on my priority list right this moment.
No.
Hopefully everybody's okay and we get through this and we move on. But New York, everybody was ranting and raving because they really locked it down. But I think it might have helped us in the long run. So
absolutely.
we'll see. But the city is going to be a tough. You let a few million people. You open the floodgates and the bars get open.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. It's going to be. It could get messy in there.
Yes. Oh my gosh. We're not through it all yet, but
right.
hopefully
right.
soon.
Yep.
The bigger cities like New York are probably going to be out for the rest of the year, huh?
Yeah. Well, I think even as stuff comes back, people might be a little, a little skittish, but hopefully not. One thing I do like is that there's going to be more outdoor venues because I love that. I think that's,
Me too.
I mean, how late in the season can you go? You can only really go like October, maybe. That's pushing it. It's going to be hard to invite friends, hey, put on your ski hat and come out. I got a comedy show. And
You're going to cross country
giving,
ski across Central Park telling jokes to each other.
yeah, 2 hot chocolate minimum and come and hang out and do your thing. But the outdoor venues are nice.
Yeah, they are. They're nice. They're nice. I've seen people do them at drive-ins in the back of a pickup truck.
Oh yeah, what was your thoughts? People beeping and boy, that was really.
Yeah, it's hard to cope with, but whatever.
You like the Zoom shows? You like doing the Zoom comedy shows? Yeah.
Yeah, I've gotten into a little bit of a rhythm with it.
Now, is that because you don't like wearing pants, or just because you?
Yeah, I don't wear pants and I stand on my head and I get a lot of laughs.
Yeah. Well, if you're gonna stand on your head, then the pants thing is out the window to me. It's probably the way to go. Did Bosy do that too on yours? Did he do the old headstand with no pants on again?
No, he didn't.
No, he tries to do it every Tuesday on our show. I have to stop him.
I imagined it in my head, like I do with everybody. So,
well, if you thought you had a brain injury before, that would really expedite things. So you gotta take it easy.
Thank you so much for getting on here and explaining your life and your passion and your future. And it's so nice to get to know you.
Well, thank you. I was happy to finally be on. I saw that long, distinguished list of people you had, and I was honored to be a part of it. So I appreciate the invite.
I ain't stopping yet either. I'm gonna keep going. Did you hear Bobby Rydell's gonna be on telling?
Oh, really? Nice.
July 9th at 4:00 Pacific.
That's great.
And he's gonna tell funny stories from his music career.
Oh, that's awesome.
See what kind of comic he is.
Yeah, well, he might have to clean those stories up a little bit, but I'm sure they'll be okay.
Yeah, it's fun doing this. I started doing it because I was so damn depressed about the pandemic. And I got somebody on Zoom and I could see in the person's face that they were just in shock and depressed. And we talked for a while and we cheered each other up. And that's what I like doing. I like using comedy and connecting with people to cheer people up. And it just has turned into a passion.
That's great. And the good thing about comedians, if you want to know how great they are, you just ask them.
Yeah, so right.
You could have people on here for the rest of the year and you won't even have any doubles. You just keep going.
They're not like me. They won't admit they have a brain injury.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. I'm keeping mine. I'm keeping it together with this hat right now. Otherwise, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. I wrote down the things to plug for you and I'll post it with this and it'll go to my editor too. And it will come back with an edited version that looks like a sitcom, at the beginning and end. And
well, tell them if they can make me look like Brad Pitt or something. I will be more than happy to, or Jeff Bosy, whichever they, they got.
Well, I think Jeff Bosy needs to try to look like you. So you can tell him I said that.
Don't tell him, he's the young one.
But yeah, it'll come back out. You'll see all this information visible tonight. And then you won't see it, but it'll be in the background. It'll be in the background helping you on the search engines. Awesome. Well, I love that. Had a great time. And don't be a stranger. We'll have you on our show too. Thank you. I appreciate that. And also, when you graduate the Comicc spot like Sinbad did. How great is he? Oof. Yeah, he's the best. One of the most underrated stand-up guys I think ever. He's a fantastic stand-up comedian. Fantastic. And that's the way he thinks and talks. Yeah. That's what I found out. Yeah, he's great. He's not trying to be anything. No. The way his mind. That's why he's good. Yeah. And so when you graduate from Comicc spot, Rich, then you get to come back and plug anything that comes up. Oh, okay. You can plug, something going on at Governor's or something you and Jeff are doing or whatever. Anytime. I'll put you on for 5 minutes any old time you want. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you. And so hopefully we're out and about soon and we'll get to do this in person one day. I'm coming to should the New York area open up, I'll be there in the first part of December.
Oh, well, you let me know when you're in town, and we'll definitely catch up.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks
Love
for
you
having me.
lots. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.